Let's address the elephant in the room. I am extremely sunburned. I look insane. My makeup is like peeling off my face because my skin is so dry. It is because I'm on vacation, hence the background, but we're powering through. And I specifically packed this shirt for my February wrap up, so I'm still wearing it even though it makes me look crazy. It looks like I have white straps on. It's fine. Anyway, I think I read 11 books this month, but not really because most of them were short stories. My first read was The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead. This is actually the second book in an interconnected standalone series. The first one is Fool Me Once, and this is the sister of the main character in that book, and she's a really shy, introverted elementary school librarian, and she goes to this bar because she wants to have a one-night stand. She's never had one before, and she ends up meeting this guy. They get a hotel room, but right after they get to the hotel room, the fire alarm goes off, and so he's like carrying her out, his shirt's unbuttoned like Superman style, and everybody starts taking pictures and he runs away, and she's like, what the hell, like he just left me here. And the next day it's because she finds out that he is running for governor, and so the whole thing like goes viral, and basically they decide to fake date to save his image. And then what she gets out of it is she gets to campaign for like school funding and library funding, and just to give a platform to teachers. That becomes like part of his campaign. I really enjoyed this. I felt like it had a good amount of politics in it and like political talk, but I also find that so interesting. So if you're like not into politics at all and you hate reading about like fake politics, you probably won't like this, but I found it interesting. I didn't think it was too much, you know, it is like the main storyline of the book, so they obviously have to talk about it a lot, but I didn't think it was too much. I also really like them in this as a couple. It's not really like a grumpy sunshine, but he is a little bit more like gruff and just has like no filter, but is a really sweet guy, and I just love fake dating. There's also a good like jealousy subplot and like some jealousy scenes, so if you're into that, this book also has that. And overall I just thought this was a really interesting premise, and I just had a good time reading it, and I really liked the first one as well, and I feel like they're both underrated. I don't really hear people talking about them, but I think they're both really good. Then I read the Improbable Meet Cute series. I did an entire reading vlog on this. I think it was my last video, so I'm not gonna get into it too much because I already have yapped about it enough, but basically it's this series that Amazon did. They're all on Kindle Unlimited and on Audible, and there's 6 short stories, each by a romance author. So it was Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez, Ashley Poston, Sally Thorne, Soraya Wilson, and Jasmine Gilroy, and each one is a different meet cute. So one of them is like a You've Got Mail type thing. They email each other on accident, and then they email each other on Valentine's Day every year. They're all set on Valentine's Day too. One is like The Hangover, where they wake up after a bachelor party. One is a princess who's like pretending to be normal for the weekend. They're all really short. I think pretty much all of them were under 100 pages. Most of them I think were like 40 pages ish, and I did think they were really cute. You obviously can't get like too much out of something that is less than 100 pages, but I really enjoyed them and thought they were really cute. The only one I didn't like was the Sally Thorne one. Not for me, but the rest of them I really liked, and they would be perfect if you need like a palette cleanser or you're in a reading slump and just need something to get through like quickly. Then I read How to Honeymoon Alone, which I love when you go into a book with no expectations and you end up really liking it. That's just the best feeling. I think I saw like one TikTok about this, or I saw someone mark it on Goodreads or something, and I just like barely read the synopsis. I just started reading it and ended up really liking it. The main character finds out her fiance is cheating on her, and so she calls off the wedding but still decides to go on their honeymoon alone because it's like her dream vacation and she planned the whole thing and she doesn't want to miss it. And then on the first night she goes to dinner alone, and this man ends up sitting with her because he doesn't want to wait for a table, and then they just keep running into each other. She sees him at the beach, when she goes snorkeling, they just keep getting pushed together. And it's also like a grumpy sunshine. She's a teacher and he's this grumpy workaholic. I think he's a lawyer, but basically he had all this stuff planned that he was going to do by himself, and he invites her to just be his like vacation buddy and to do all these things with him, so neither of them are alone. And I really liked this. I love vacation and travel books. This one they're in Barbados, so I love that. I love like all the excursions they go on. They like go see sea turtles hatch, they go on midnight swim. Just very romantic, and they're kind of going through the same sort of situation, so it's nice to see them bond over that, help each other get over it, and I just really loved this. I also read it right before I was leaving for vacation, and it was perfect. It put me in such a summery vacation mood. Summer romances are the best, and I stand by that. If the ankle changed 5 times, it's because my stupid batteries keep dying. The next 2 books are both comfort rereads. I'm just a girl, okay? The first one was Beach Read by Emily Henry. You guys know at this point, if you've seen literally any of my videos, I love Emily Henry so much. I am that basic Emily Henry girl. I love her to death. And Beach Read is my favorite by her. And it had been a while since I read it, and I had just been like wanting to reread it for a long time and just hadn't gotten around to it. And I finally did. I think it was my 4th time reading it, and it was just as good as it always is. Like, it's Beach Read. You know, I feel like if you're watching this video, you probably know, and if you don't know, go read it right now. I'm dead serious. Do I even really need to get into it? No, I'm not going to. You either get it or you don't, okay? Best romance ever. Then the next one is The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. This is a young adult romance. Just like I'm an Emily Henry girl, I'm a Sarah Dessen girl. The pipeline is Sarah Dessen teenager to Emily Henry adult. I started reading Sarah Dessen books in like high school and just became obsessed, and there are a few that I like to go back to like every year or two and reread, and my favorite is The Truth About Forever. This book follows Macy, whose dad passed away like a year and a half ago, and since then she has just put all of her grief into being perfect. She has perfect grades, perfect boyfriend, works at the library, studies every night, and her mom sort of did the same thing except with her work. She's a housing developer, so basically they're both fine, you know, they're like doing fine, but they're not. And Macy ends up getting a job at a caterer, and the group of people, they're like family slash found family. They are the complete opposite. Like, they're messy, they're loud, they're imperfect. And basically through that job and through meeting them and spending time with them, she really comes out of her shell and actually faces her grief and starts to heal. And it's a romance between her and one of the guys that she works with. He's an artist, Wes. I love him. He's one of my like OG book boyfriends. I read this when I was 14 and was like, that's a man. That is my man. I love him. And it's just very comforting to me. Like, it's just a nostalgic read. I was actually thinking about this when I read it. Like, I do think it's a really good book and it's worth reading, but I also just think a lot of it is the nostalgia for me. Like, it's just so comforting because I've read it so many times. I just really love it, and I love her story and her character development and the friendships and relationship in this book a lot. And last but not least, I read Here We Go Again by Alison Cochrane. This is actually an arc. I think it comes out in April 2nd. This is one of my most anticipated reads of this year. I was so excited when I got approved for it on NetGalley. Thank you, NetGalley. I love you. This is a female-female romance, and it follows 2 girls who were childhood best friends, like middle school best friends, and then the summer after 8th grade they have a falling out and they basically don't speak for like 10 years, but now they're both teachers at their alma mater and don't get along at all. They're complete opposites. One of them is a very type A. She has like anxiety that she sort of uses her type A tendencies to deal with, and the other girl is the complete opposite. She's like wild, has this like very uncaring persona, messy, you know, you get it. But they both have the same mentor. It's their old English teacher, but they both have kept in contact with him and are really close with him, and he means a lot to each of them separately. But he's actually dying from cancer, and his dying wish is that the 2 girls drive him across the country from Washington to Maine so he can die in his beach cottage in Maine. So it's an enemies to lovers, second chance romance, forced proximity travel book, all things I'm obsessed with. I really liked this. I really liked their relationship and their character development separately, and I also really enjoyed the side plot of the teacher and sort of his journey and his development, his ending. And it talks a lot about living life without regret, and you know, he is very sick, so a lot of it is sad, but just had a really good message. And I love when authors can combine more serious topics with a romance. I always just feel like I like those ones better than ones that are just like fluffy and lighthearted. I kind of like when there's more serious aspect to it, and I really liked this. I loved The Charm Offensive by her. I think I've talked about that a few times on my channel, but I think I liked this almost as much, if not as much. I definitely recommend checking it out when it comes out in a few months. If you want to follow me anywhere else, I'll have all my other socials linked down below as always, and thank you so much for watching.